How do? So it's here at last after a 4-week wait. My PIP assessment. I've got the result and it reads like this. Hello, you can't have it. Ta-ta. That's it really, in a nutshell. Because they turned up here 9 o'clock in the morning some weeks ago now. 2 of them there was, because they come in pairs apparently in case we attack them. So they've got somebody to fight their corner for them. But they turned up, they sat on the sofa across the other side of the room for me and did what was essentially a tick boxing exercise. And let me start by saying that the first thing I said to the assessor, the main assessor, who was just out of school, I believe, was before you ask any questions, and I do mean any questions at all, the answer to every single one of them will be no, I can't, in the event of me having an epileptic seizure. I can't do anything. Before, during, or in the immediate hours, sometimes days, following epileptic seizure, I can't do anything. I can't remember my name, I can't function, sometimes I forget how to breathe. Literally, at night. Can't do anything. But let's read on. Bear that in mind now, remember. Daily living activities. Preparing food. You can prepare and cook a simple meal unaided. Remember what I just said? Epilepsy. I can prepare and cook a simple meal unaided unless I've had a seizure. Unless it's pre, during or after a seizure. But that's not what it says here. Are you with me? I can prepare and cook a simple meal unaided. Epilepsy, people. But for that, nil point. Nothing. Zip. Goose egg. Move on. Eating and drinking. You can eat and drink unaided. For the second time, may I remind you, in the event of a seizure, I don't want to drink, I don't want to eat, I don't want to do anything. And I don't eat, drink or do anything in the event of having a seizure. Before, during or after. This is going to get very repetitive. Please get used to it. And I apologise on my own behalf. But I can eat and drink unaided. Nil point. Again, nothing. It's going well. Managing your treatments. This is a biggie. This is scored out of 8 points. Ooh, exciting. You can either manage your medication, therapy, or monitor your health condition unaided. Can I now? Right. Again, let me just refer you back to that point I made to him that's been completely ignored. Yes, I can do all of that, unless I've had a seizure. And then, I can't. Are you following this? Because those idiots didn't. Clearly. Nil points. Nothing. Zippo. Epilepsy, people! Are you listening? Washing and bathing. You need an aid or appliance to wash or bathe. Yes, I do. That aid or appliance is called a wife. Who's there when I collapse in the shower if I've had a seizure? We're getting there. Come on, skip along, people. Follow it on. Oh, I get 2 points for that. Sorry, 2 points for that. That's all I get. 2 points for collapsing in the bath and nearly killing myself. That's worth 2 points. So out of a grand total of 2 points. This is a good one. You'll like this. Managing your toilet needs. Tricky situation. You can manage your toilet needs or incontinence unaided. Right. Well, I've mentioned this before in passing, so this won't come as a shock to some people who've seen my dialogues before. But on 3 occasions that I can remember, I've shit myself in public. I can't. Look, there's no point in polishing this particular turd, no pun intended. But I've been out, I haven't been able to reach a toilet, and I've soiled myself in public. Had to hastily clean myself up with the help of my aide/wife and move on. So no, I can't manage my toilet needs, and I wasn't even having a seizure at that point. If I'm having a seizure, I can't manage anything. Guess how many points I get for that? I explained all of this in great detail. I swallowed my pride and said, no, I do struggle a bit because I've shit myself in public. 0 points! Nothing! 0! For walking around squelching, I get nothing. Absolutely nada. So thus far, 2 points. For somebody who's collapsed in the shower, cut his finger off, preparing food. Oh, I missed that bit out about preparing food, about leaving gas rings on, nearly blowing the house up. I got 0 points for that as well. I missed the bit out about leaving food in the oven overnight for 12 hours, nearly burning the house down. Missed that bit out. Got 0 point for that as well. So far, for somebody who's nearly burnt the house down on 3 separate occasions, shits himself in public regularly, has collapsed in the shower more than once and banged his head on the side of the wall through having an epileptic seizure in the bath, 2 points. 2 princely points out of 8, 16, 24, 32, 42, 50. I get not 1, 2 points. We'll move on. Communicating. I'm doing quite well so far. Reading. You can read and understand basic and complex written information either unaided or using glasses. I'm doing it now. But I'm not having a seizure! Now I just have, and now I can't. Because that's how it goes. Explained all that. If I've had a seizure, can't do it. If I'm knackered after a seizure, I can't read my name. I can't do anything, can't read. But still, that gets me... Oh, no, nothing. 0 points. Nada. Mixing with other people. You can engage with other people unaided. It's getting a bit boring now, isn't it? No, I can't. Possibly for days, certainly for hours. Don't want to engage with anyone. And even if I'm not having a seizure, as I explained to the gentleman, let's call him gentleman, I can think of other names. Even if I'm not having a seizure, crowded rooms are my absolute nemesis. Nightmare. I'm constantly looking for exits, for escape routes, for ways out. In case I have... Thank you. I can hear you all saying it. I don't need to repeat this crap anymore. Moving on. Your total score for this particular section is 4. Not 2, not 1, but 1, 1 and 2. We got 4. I needed about 7.5 million. I got 4. And then there's the mobility. You can plan and follow a route of a journey unaided. Wind back to the last 15 answers I've just said. No, I can't. If I've had a seizure, I can't plan my day. I can't plan anything. I can't plan how to get to the toilet. I can't plan a jot. Nothing. Can't plan anything. To be honest, even without the epilepsy, with the brain injury, the lack of vision, oh, by the way, I've lost my vision, that wasn't mentioned anywhere. With all of that, planning and coordinating, it's a nightmare. Because part of my brain doesn't work anymore. But in all of this, all these pages of CAC, the fact that part of my brain doesn't function anymore is not mentioned, not once. Not once is it mentioned that a significant part of my brain ceased to be 24 years ago, and the rest of my brain is slowly trying to catch up and filling the blanks, and largely fails, thus enabling me to be twice as shagged out as a normal layperson every sodding day of my life. But enough of this crap. What else was there? Throughout the... He didn't appear at all fatigued throughout the assessment. You see, this is a genuine error on my behalf. I can't lay the blame on the assessor's fault, because what had happened that morning was I got out of bed after a particularly restful night's sleep, because I was a bit stressed at what was coming in the morning, and what I'd forgotten to do is, it's a schoolboy error, but I'd forgotten to turn on the fatigue alarm that flashes out the top of my head like that to warn oncomers of when I'm fatigued, Because clearly that's the only bastard way you can tell whether I'm fatigued or not. I'd love to know what neurological qualifications the gentleman had who sat here that enabled him to point out that I didn't appear at all fatigued. Because believe me, I was on my arse. I was absolutely knackered. But hey, he didn't think I was fatigued, so again, all's well in the world. He had no problems preparing food, or has no problems preparing food. I've mentioned this. Burnt house down, seizures, cut finger many times, left food in oven 12 hours, forgot to turn it off, left gas rings on, only knew gas was still on because terrified cat attempted to scratch my face off while screaming in my ear. No problems at all preparing food. He has no significant impairment in cognition. Really? Well, when part of your brain doesn't work, reasoning and thinking aren't quite so simple as they will be when your brain works totally. Trust me, reasoning, thinking, all of that ain't the same as what it was. I don't reason well, I don't think well, I get angry very quickly. Can you tell? Trust me, there's significant impairment in cognition. But Mr. Tickbox, with all his neurological qualifications, knows me far better than my doctors, than my specialists at the hospital. He knows better. Moving on, memory, could recall appointments, past and present, and what medication he is taking. Well, of course I could, because all my medication was on the table next to me, because I knew they were coming, and I knew I'd forget if I didn't leave it there. So I put it next to me on the table. I didn't have to remember. This is me remembering. Oh, that's what it says on the box. There you go. He could have read it himself, the moron. Moving on. This is a good one. His mood was relaxed and happy throughout the appointment. He should be here now. My mood was relaxed and happy because I wasn't expecting anything other than two people sat there not knowing what the hell they were talking about. And I wasn't wrong. Shock horror. Next time, I'll be angry, I'll yell at them and attempt to throttle them. Perhaps that'll get me further. Because relaxed and happy doesn't work. Apparently, when you have a brain injury, that makes you relaxed and happy. Trust me, it doesn't. It makes you annoyed, pissed off, and you put a front up for everyone. And that's exactly what I was doing. Move on. Appearance. This was good. I'd looked in the mirror before I got up that morning. Appearance, dressed appropriate for the climate. What am I, in the North Pole or something? Of course I dressed appropriate for the climate. I got out of bed and got dressed. Next time I'll sit here stark bollock naked, freezing and scratching me knackers. Would that be better? Would that get me more points on your little tick box exercise? What do you want me to do? I got dressed. And hey, do you know why I got dressed? Because I hadn't had a seizure! If I'd had a seizure, I wouldn't be dressed appropriate for the blah, 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 blah. I couldn't even speak. I wouldn't be dressed appropriate for the climate then. I wouldn't be dressed. I'd still have been in bed. My wife would have politely told them to sod off at the door because I wouldn't be playing that day. Probably not that week. But we'll moose that out. Yeah, I was dressed appropriate. Well done. He is partially sighted in his left eye. I never said that. I said I'm partially sighted due to brain injury. There's actually nothing wrong with my left eye or my right eye, but there's something massively wrong with the signals between my brain and my eyes. Nothing wrong with my eye at all, which he would have known if he listened, because I explained it all in great detail. There's sod all wrong with my eyes, but I have a brain injury. Signals don't get there. Signals get confused. Spark. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Epilepsy! Brain don't work. Eyes don't work. Seizures, they work. Seizures work good. They kill me. Never mind. Missed that out. Like everything else. And finally, the final crowning turd on the pudding. He has no problems being out in pubic. Pubic. And I'm the one with a brain injury. Apparently, whoever typed this out didn't have a spell check. Telling somebody with a brain injury and short-term memory problems, which are, by the way, chronic, that they're not to go out in pubic ain't much of a warning. Because I know that anyway. It's a sorry sight, not one I'll do again. Not since the court order anyway. But hey, I'm not going to get PIP anymore. But that's just the thin end of the wedge. Because my wife's my carer. And because I'm not getting PIP, she gets the element of carers taken off her as well. So now I don't get PIP, my wife doesn't get carers, but that's fab. Because by summer we'll be living in a field with the moo cows. So you see, there's always a bright side. Now, this has all been jovial but with a hint of anger and hatred. But I defy any of you assessors, anybody at the DWP, to spend, not a day, forget a day, 10 minutes. 10 minutes in my skin. Go on, try it. Then you'll know what fatigue is. Then you'll know what tiredness is. Then you'll know what cognitive impairment is. Then you'll know what epilepsy is. Then you'll know what crapping yourself in public is, and indignity. And then the further indignity of some idiot from your office coming along and saying there's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. Am I now? Come on. 10 minutes. One of you. I challenge you. 10 minutes in my shoes, in my skin. And we'll see how you get by. Ta-ta.